Well, good morning from Cottage Farmstead. I'm Rebecca. My husband Nathan is at the farmer's market over in downtown Greenville today selling produce. And I'm over here at the house build site with my father. And a lot has been happening this week. I haven't been here since Tuesday. So Tuesday we came and we painted the front door and back doors. And today we're hoping to get the final deadbolts in so we don't have to keep boarding up the doors every night. But some of the other exciting news as the power company got us on their schedule for this week, the siding company got us on the schedule this week, and drywall was delivered this week. So we had a whole bunch going on. I'll turn around here and looky here. Here's our siding. They started it over here on the garden side of our house. So if I turn around over there is our garden. And over here is our siding. They haven't gotten too far up. You can see that they are doing some foil insulation up there, and we're doing that in addition to the insulation inside. We're doing an underlayment out here to be extra sure, to be really efficient, because we do eventually want to add solar panels here, and AC is a big draw on power. And since our house is in full southern exposure, no trees shading it yet, it'll take years for them to grow up. We wanted to make sure we really insulate our house well so that when we do get solar, it won't drain our batteries so fast. And drywall was delivered. We have 12-foot and 8-foot sheets. Unfortunately, we couldn't find 9-foot sheets at an affordable price. We have 9-foot ceilings, and we thought we were going to use 9-foot sheets and make it real nice and simple. But we decided we're going to do 12-foot sheets, cut them to the 9-foot, go around, and then we're going to use all those cutoffs for behind our kitchen cabinets, in all the closets, behind our bookcases, and use a lot of those cutoffs elsewhere for efficiency. We did get some 8-foot pieces because things like the bathroom and stuff like that, closet ceilings and things like that, we don't need such long pieces. But we're pretty sure we got all the drywall we need delivered over the last 2 days. And inside I'll show you what they started on last night. So last night, my father-in-law, 3 sister-in-laws, and a brother-in-law, and Nathan were all here. And they started getting our ceiling up in the main part of our house. And they got pretty far. I think they only have maybe 3-4 sheets left to complete the entire ceiling up here. So Farmer Nathan's probably going to work on that today to get it completed in this room. And then we can start working on the walls. As you can see, the power company has been here. They dug a trench all along, crossing our future driveway over to where our meter base is going to be. They got us on their schedule pretty quickly because we passed rough-in inspection about 2.5 weeks ago, so that went pretty quickly. They had predicted 4 to 6 weeks when we had first called them. So we are very excited that they got here sooner because it means we can get the power panel installed and finished downstairs so that we can install air conditioning. We're gonna at least put some we have some window units. So we're gonna put some window units in to help keep the temperature cool, keep the humidity down while we're waiting on the drywall mud to dry, and just be much more comfortable working in the dog days of summer. And here's our pretty meter base. You can see it's 0000 because we've used no power yet, but we're hoping by the end of the day today to be able to have a couple of the outlets inside the house fully functional so that we can start using that instead of having a long drop cord all the way from the well house to power tools that we need, charge up batteries for our drills and impact drivers, and the very necessary this time of year AC unit in the window. Okay, we didn't want to install that many outlets right now because we are going to be drywall and mudding and painting, so we didn't want to ruin any of our outlets and have to cover up a ton of them. So we did the dishwasher and the refrigerator outlets. We did the washing machine outlet because all of those are dedicated single outlets. And then we're also going to do the bathroom upstairs because there's only 2 outlets up there. And we're going to do one in the basement as well, just so that we have power on each level as we continue working. So let's go downstairs and see what my dad is up to. Now we have the star of the show here in the spotlight.
Star of what show?
Or interrogation.
Interrogation?
You have the light right on top of you.
I didn't do it! What we did when we pulled all the wires for all the circuits, we labeled all the wires. Excuse me. I just get all choked up when I talk about this. So that we can wire it in here, put a label on the wires inside the panel. That way, when you're doing any kind of maintenance work and the door is off the panel, you can identify all of the circuits. Because typically there's a sheet on the inside of the panel door that labels all of the breakers. You take the door off, no label. Take the door off for our jobs and you see we have them labeled inside.
Very organized.
Very organized. We were working on a doctor's house one time. He says, man, I wish I could cut straight like that.
Uh-oh.
And I said, well, I'm never going to go to you for surgery. He laughed. And it wasn't but just a few days later that I nailed my fingers together. And I thought he was going to pass out trying to get the nail out. But I'll give him credit, though. He's a pediatrician, so maybe he's not used to
Big boy ears.
big boy injuries. For these circuits, the single pole or one pole circuits, you have ground, neutral, and hot wire. All three must be put in the proper places. And whatever you do, don't touch. Wow!
We haven't turned the power on yet.
Oh, okay.
I just set them at 0 downstairs. Or upstairs.
For this circuit, we need what is called an arc fault circuit interrupter breaker. These are relatively new. They've been out a few years. But these are what they call a plug-on neutral. So it simplifies wiring and installation, and that makes it easier and faster. What I'm doing now is putting the breaker in place to measure the length I need on the wires. Then I will remove the breaker and make the connections, and then put the breaker back in place. But when you're working with these, you want to make sure first that you turn them off. You don't want to get shocked. These arc fault breakers, what they do is they sense an arc type fault going to neutral. So you wire the neutral wire into the breaker where it does the sensing of the problem and will trip the breaker before you have any problems. Make sure you get the wire all the way in, but do not get any insulation under the terminal. If you do not have a good connection, it can start arcing and heating up and cause a fire. And now these clips here will plug directly onto the neutral bar inside the panel. And there's my label so we know what it is in the future.
We just turned power on at the meter outside, and we're going to go check down in the basement, make sure nothing is amiss on the breaker panel downstairs. Nothing blew up.
No smoke. .122 volts. 122 volts. 245 volts. We're good. Got the proper voltages. This is what they call a 240/120 single phase AC panel. And that's exactly what you have. Rebecca, what you doing?
I'm gonna stick something in the outlet. I touched the gold side.
Mm-hmm.
We have power.
Yeah, power.
So now that we know that the power is working in the outlet that's right here below the window, we are rigging up something to support our window AC unit that we took from our old house to put it in the window here so we can drop the temperature in the house and cool down a little bit because it's getting real hot today and it's very humid. It's supposed to storm later today, so the humidity is really high.
Oh, hallelujah, we have air conditioning.
So like I said earlier, we were trying to do single use outlets, for lack of a better term. So like the dishwasher and things like that, so that we didn't have to figure out which one of these is the hot wire. So since we have the insulation up and we can't tell which one's hot, using handy dandy tester to figure out which one is. So I know this one's the hot wire, and that's the one I need to wire into the outlet that we're going to use up here temporarily. So when we were replacing outlets in our old house before we moved, we were taking out some of the more dated ivory beige colored ones and putting white ones in before we sold, but we kept a lot of them because we knew that we were going to need some temporary ones. We're going to need some in the barn eventually, so we have some of our old ivory ones that we won't care if sheetrock mud gets on them, paint gets on them, anything like that, that we're going to use temporarily before we do the final wiring with the pretty outlets that we want. Well, hello from the next day. I totally forgot to film any sort of wrap up as we got caught up in working on the doors yesterday. And we needed to get some more parts from Lowe's for the breakers. So the breaker panel project has been put on hold until we get the rest of the breakers. 8 of them were supposed to have been delivered Friday night. They didn't show up on Friday night, didn't show up on Saturday morning. I got an email saying, hey, they're delayed. But the tracking number says they left California on Wednesday and there's no new updates as of yet. So hopefully they'll be showing up the next day or two so we can finish the breaker panel. And then we did get a few more at Lowe's, but we were able to get those handful of outlets in that I mentioned earlier. We got 2 in the kitchen area, 1 in the basement, and 1 upstairs, so that we'll be able to power tools and lights and things in all levels of the home without having to run an extension cord all the way from the well house. Hope you enjoyed this update on our exciting house build project this past week, and we'll catch you next time.